I went to knock on his door and just like tell him I'm feeling really anxious. I'm on mushrooms right now and I'm thinking about killing myself. And I think that was like my way of trying to like tell somebody like I need help. Like I need somebody to be with me and I just need help. I don't know what's going to happen.
The following video does not glorify drug use, but instead it intends to promote harm reduction by discouraging the ignorant use of specific drugs, as well as harm elimination by discouraging certain people from using specific drugs altogether. There is no right or wrong way to consume these substances, but there are unsafe and safer ways, and what's more comfortable for one person may be more dangerous for another. Before watching this video, please understand that psychedelic experiences may not be entirely predictable, but that doesn't mean that bad trips and good trips are random. Rather, it means psychedelic experiences are influenced by factors such as the individual's given setting, and dosage at that specific point in their life. Therefore, you will not experience what these people have experienced, but you could potentially experience something similar. However, these are random people, so please do not make decisions based on what they say without your own due diligence. And also, take note, once again, that these substances affect everyone differently, especially those with pre-existing mental conditions.
So back in, I think it was 2021, October of 2021, I took 3.5 grams after not doing mushrooms for months. So my tolerance was really low.
What strain was that?
That actually could have been the Thailand strain, the one that gives me anxiety. Oh my gosh, I've never really thought about that because I didn't have any Lizard King left.
And what kind of form did you take it in?
I took like, I think 2 grams in lemon juice, the lemon tech, and then I put the other 1.5 grams in like some kind of food I made, probably like mac and cheese or something. I was already not in a very good headspace in the beginning. I was like really stressed about life and like didn't know what I was doing with my life, like had all these questions about like what I should be doing. And I got into this really negative thought loop really quickly. I was very anxious during this trip. And this is very interesting. The negative thought loop was telling me that I deserve to die and that the world would be a better place if I just ended my life, and that my family would be happier and like more comfortable if I just like ended it all. And it wasn't my voice that was like trying to convince me of this. It was like something else. It was like another like force, like another powerful force that like an energy that was like telling me I needed to end my life. And it became really loud and repetitive, and I started to believe it and listen to it because I thought that I was in a very vulnerable state with the mushrooms as it was. So I just started to feed into that negative thought loop, and I went downstairs into my kitchen, and my brother, he was in his room downstairs. I went to him. He's 2 years younger than me. I went to knock on his door and just like tell him I'm feeling really anxious. I'm on mushrooms right now and I'm thinking about killing myself. And I think that was like my way of trying to like tell somebody like I need help. Like I need somebody to be with me and I just need help. I don't know what's going to happen. But he's never experienced anything like that. I don't think he knew what to do. I think he probably thought I could handle it myself. So I went outside. It was dark out, and I went outside to get some fresh air, and I thought that might help calm me down a little bit. But little did I know that there are little shadow people in the bushes when I'm tripping. So that scared the crap out of me, and I ran back inside, even more anxious than I was when I walked out. And I just sat at my kitchen table for a long time in the dark while my brother was in his room. He was talking to some of his friends on Discord, and I just sat at the kitchen table in the dark and like thought about my life, and like I was still stuck in that negative thought loop. And I actually had these crazy visuals they were very, very, very vivid visuals of like my body just like on the floor, and like my brother like finding me, and like I had this visual of like a book being written about me and my life, and like suicide kind of thing, like suicide prevention book in a way. And so yeah, that I was probably sitting at the table in the dark for probably like an hour, just like sucked into this negative thought loop. And the powerful force, that powerful voice that kept telling me like I need to kill myself, it was just getting louder and louder. And it was actually becoming like unbearable to the point where I really did want to end it all just to like escape from that like voice. And it's like crazy how it all happened. I like got up from the table and I was about to do it. I was like like inches away from like ending my life, and my brother walked out of his room in that moment, like in that specific moment. Out of like all the other times he could have come out of his room, he like walked out at that specific moment, like as I was inches away from like ending my life. And that's when I just like ran right upstairs because I was embarrassed. I felt shameful. I felt really guilty about everything.
Did he notice?
He did not. He did not see me. I just heard his door open, and that is when I like bolted up my stairs because I don't know, I just felt like embarrassed for him to like see me in that state. And I didn't tell him until like months after that happened, maybe even like actually a year, just because I don't actually know why I didn't really tell him about that. But I went upstairs and I still wanted to end my life. Like that negative thought loop was still playing in my brain. So I got like out a pen and some paper, and I was like starting to write like letters, like goodbye letters to people. And thank God I just passed out. I just fell asleep on the couch as I was writing those. And I woke up the next morning, and instantly the flashbacks were just like playing in my mind like on a loop. It was like so vivid in my brain, like what happened the night before, and just like my whole body just was like sinking. Like it just felt like nothing was good, like life sucked. It felt like I didn't want to be alive anymore, and like I shouldn't be alive anymore, and I don't know why people love me kind of thing. It was like so horrible. And I went through drug-induced psychosis actually for 8 months after that experience. I was dealing with that. I was hallucinating often. I was seeing shadows and like, I don't know, like just things in the corner of my eyes that would catch my attention. You know, I'd look in the other direction. There's nothing there. I would frequently hear my name being called in public, and I, turn around and look to see who's calling my name, and nobody's looking at me. And I would frequently hear like voices in my head, like whispers. Like when I would be out at like a river, I like where I live, there's a lot of rivers, and I like to kind of just go there and like hang out and like listen to the water. After the mushroom experience, I went to the river and I heard like conversations between like different people and like kids laughing and stuff like that. And, I would look around and I was like the only one there. There was nobody else there, and it was freaking creepy. And I would also constantly feel like somebody was watching me and like out to get me or like hurt me. I was also terrified of black SUVs because I literally thought that like the FBI or something was like spying on me and like trying to like arrest me for something. That lasted for 8 solid months. I was a freaking mess. Like just completely isolated myself, cut myself off from a lot of my friends. I wasn't eating much. I was just a mess. I was so depressed. I was so paranoid about living. I had suicidal thoughts all the time. I would constantly consider driving myself off the road or like jumping off a bridge. But during the springtime, that's kind of when it started to fade away a little bit, and which is pretty understandable just because of the weather change and all the sunshine and things coming back to life and stuff. So it kind of boosted me up a little bit. But yeah, that was a rough experience. And after that experience, I did not do mushrooms for a solid year and a half. Actually, maybe just a year.
How long ago is that experience?
That was October of 2021. So I took some more mushrooms. It was a small dose with my friends, probably in so maybe it was less than a year that I took mushrooms again. So I think that was in maybe August that I took them again. Yeah, so about 10 months is when, oh gosh, timing, it's all kind of blending together. I don't know exactly the timing.
You're fine. And how did you come back from that? How did you recover from that?
A lot of therapy, honestly. When I had those thoughts of wanting to kill myself, I knew that it's such a weird way to explain it and understand it unless somebody has also been through that similar experience or knows what it feels like. But I wanted to kill myself. but I didn't want to kill myself. Like there were parts of me that just wanted to end it all and just be done with this life and like not have to deal with any of the pain and the suffering anymore. But then there was part of me that was like, no, like you have a lot to finish here. Like you still have things to do here and like experiences to experience, people to meet. So definitely parts of me like wanted to end it all and then wanted to stay alive. And that's why I found a therapist and I got in touch with a psychiatrist and I started talking to my doctor again. That's when I kind of did a lot of healing. I just kind of dove right into like my anxiety and like my depression, like why I am the way that I am, like why I do the things I do. And that kind of just helped me like understand myself better. But definitely therapy was like the biggest thing that helped me get through that.
You're not diagnosed or suspected of schizophrenia, right?
It runs in my family, and my psychiatrist actually told me that I should stop doing psychedelics because it could trigger those illnesses. So that was kind of scary to hear.
Yeah, it could bring, if you have family members with it, there's a chance you could have it genetically latent within you
Mm,
yourself. Yeah. Have you ever experienced voices or something similar prior to that moment?
no, I don't think so. No. I think it was just after that experience. That's probably what honestly triggered my bipolar disorder because that also runs in my family, and I didn't have any problems until after I took that high dose of mushrooms, and then I was like paranoid like all the time and had all these ups and downs all the time. So makes sense.
So, what was your set at the time, like before that experience, before you had taken the drug? Were you already experiencing suicidal thoughts to some extent? What were you going through something? It's perfectly fine for you to get as deep as you want to. Definitely don't want to push you to go any deeper than you want to go.
No, it's actually, thank you for saying that, by the way. It's actually like pretty refreshing to like talk about it with other people because I've been so ashamed of like this experience and like felt really like embarrassed and guilty about it, which is so interesting because that's, like feeling ashamed for having an experience like that just seems kind of backwards in my opinion. But like, it's just how my brain and my body like is trying to like process it. But it definitely feels nice to kind of like talk about it. But yes, so prior to that experience, oh yeah, I remember my mom was threatening to kick me out. She would do this thing where she would like get angry at me for doing something and then she would like tell me she's going to kick me out and then she never would. So I'd be like hella anxious and like worried and like trying to like find another place to live and like find another job and stuff like that to like get myself accommodated and then she just like never follow through. So it was like constantly wondering like when it's going to actually happen and if she's just faking it or not. So that's kind of what was happening at that time in my life. I definitely was having like suicidal thoughts before I took the mushrooms, but it definitely wasn't as intense as like after I took the mushrooms. It was kind of just like thoughts. Like if I just ended it now, like I wouldn't have to deal with any of this. That was kind of like the extent of like the suicidal thoughts. But yeah, it was a just very stressful time in my life. And I guess I had the intention to quote unquote heal myself. And obviously, I learned very fast that that is not how you do it. So I guess that was a pretty good lesson I pulled from that experience.
Yeah, so one thing I think people get confused is that you can have intentions going into a psychedelic experience, but what could potentially happen with some people is the desire of something else contradicting could win over that intention because a person might intend to stop smoking, but the desire to smoke may win.
That's very interesting to think about.
How did your brother like react in the moment when you told him, like the initial moment you told him what you were dealing with?
That part actually kind of fucked me up. In the moment, I kind of just chalk it up to like he just didn't know how to handle that situation, but yeah, it definitely like kind of hurt. But he basically kind of told me like when I told him that I was feeling suicidal, he just kind of like looked at me and was like, "Okay." And he just like kind of was like silent. I don't think he knew what to say. And then I told him that I was going to go outside and try to get some fresh air. And he looked up at me and he said, "Okay, don't do anything stupid." And that just kind of like fucking ruined me. Like when I heard him say that, I just like went outside and I'm like, wow, he like wants me to ruin like or like do something stupid. And when I was sitting at the table in the kitchen after I got back inside, I could hear him talking with his friends on Discord, and I kind of like heard him like making fun of like me with his friends. Like, oh, I took some mushrooms and I'm thinking of killing myself kind of thing. And I just remember feeling like so hurt. And that was actually kind of like what further pushed me towards the idea of actually like killing myself and like feeling like I really should because my brother thinks I should, so maybe I should. It's just a fucking messed up thought cycle that I was caught up in.
As far as I know, you've said you've made a good recovery. Would you say you're 100% recovered from where you were?
I don't know if I would consider it like recover because I really do feel like that experience like kind of triggered like my bipolar disorder. I'm sure it would have happened at some point anyways if it wasn't for the mushrooms, but this past year I've been like learning how to like just cope and like handle the intensity of like my emotions and like the back and forth. And I was only just diagnosed at the end of October of 2022. So I've just been recently kind of trying to find stability and find like a solid foundation to like build upon. So I guess I have kind of recovered from that. I'm not like hallucinating anymore, and I'm not constantly thinking that people are out to get me anymore. What also helps is the medication. I'm on a mood stabilizer, so that's definitely working its magic. I do consider myself pretty recovered from that experience. It's been a while, and I've worked on a lot of stuff in my life.
So I know you talked like to your therapist and all afterward with that experience, and you sought out help. Were you diagnosed with HPPD?
No, I was not. When I first started seeing the therapist, I was supposed to go see a psychiatrist, but that was like a really long wait list. I think I finally got to see the psychiatrist, and I don't know. Like, I try not to judge too much, but this psychiatrist was like, I don't know how she freaking got a degree in psychology or like whatever she got a degree in, because she felt like I was talking to like a brick wall. And I was explaining my experiences, and she would like constantly like question me and try to give me like another like kind of like try to gaslight me in a way, like alter my perspective on my own experiences. And so I told her about the mushroom experience, and she didn't mention anything about like HPPD or whatever, right? It's HPPD?
Yep, hallucinatory persisting perception disorder.
Okay, yeah, HPPD. But yeah, she never mentioned any of that, and I stopped going to see her because I thought it wasn't working out. But yeah, I was never diagnosed with anything like that. Nobody ever mentioned it or brought it up. I definitely thought it could have been a possibility, but I thought that like to have HPPD, you have to like have like fuzziness in your eyes or something, or like static, like an old TV kind of thing. But maybe that's not for everyone.
I think everyone is most likely different, but I have heard people bring that up before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to say in regards to that experience?
I guess I don't know. I mean, my mind is going towards like, make sure that like you've got like a safe person that like knows you're about to trip if you're doing it alone. Make sure to have them kind of like on standby if you need them to comfort you or like bring you somewhere to calm down or whatever, because I didn't have that. And if I had somebody that just gave me the time of day and just sat with me and like talked to me, it would have easily could have avoided like most of that horrible experience. So I guess that is like a big thing. Just like tell someone that you're going to be tripping, especially if it's a high dose, and just like let them know that you need them around if you need them. I guess that's like one of the bigger lessons I took away from that as well.